Today we're going through a lot of older images. I guess this would be part of a re-edit series, but it's more because a lot of you folks were asking about the different grain styles that Capture One offers. We got a number of those searches in our search engine on our website, the Phoblographer. Go ahead and check that out. But we figured that we'd show you guys a little bit more about what these grain styles are. Now, as you can see over here, there's fine grain, there's silver rich grain, there's soft grain, there's cubic grain, there's tabular grain, and there's harsh grain. Now, the best way for me to demonstrate this will be to do it on another image. Let's see. I wanted this one. Okay, cool. So, because I have like this old school way of believing about the way that images should look, I white balance this to 3200 Kelvin. And the reason why is because that is what old school tungsten film was balanced to. Now, you can do that like whenever you scan an image, like you can mess around however you want, but I like to be pretty conservative when it comes to that kind of stuff. That, and I like to brighten just a bit. So, to show you what this is going to look like, I'm going to go all the way in, and not just 100%, I'm going to go into 400%. So, this is before the adjustment, and then this is after the adjustment. And as you can see, the XT2 here is actually pretty clean. So, now, we're going to look at some of the grains here. So, let's start with fine grain. So, I'm going to increase the impact. And now, let's see what this looks like full screen. Cool. It looks like digital noise, in a way. And now let's look at Silver Rich. Silver Rich is far different. The impact is more, and I can also adjust the granularity. That looks like bad news bears, so let's not do that. And now what I can do is I can enter full screen one more time. And that, again, looks like digital noise in a way. At least it looks like a digital scan, rather, for Silver Rich. Let's look at soft grain. Soft grain looks a little nice. Maybe I shouldn't change the granularity. So soft grain right there, or the impact, rather. Granularity is there, and now if I tile that down a bit, let's go to maybe 12%. And now let's go to full screen. And that's what that looks like. I think that's nice. I like that. We're going to back out. Let's see how that looks at 100%. You know, you don't even really see it. Or not 100%, but full view. You don't even really see it there. So let's go back. This is cubic grain. Cubic grain also has a pretty interesting look. I think that's a little bit more organic. Yeah, that's a little bit more pleasing. And this is tabular grain, which, so that was cubic grain, and that's tabular grain. Tabular grain doesn't really seem to have a huge difference from cubic grain. Still looks nice. And now, the last one is harsh grain. Harsh grain looks sort of like an old school television set in a way. You know those old boxes that like you had to smack in the middle of watching television? So now if I zoom all the way out, you don't really see a lot of it. But that's also partially because the image is overexposed. So if I were to... no, I'm sorry. Not select all. Nope. Don't want that. Okay, cool. So now if I were to reset the adjustments here, and let's say I were to just make this 3200. Now let's look at the grain. So let's say some harsh grain. And let's increase the impact. And you're starting to see a lot of it all over the image. Now tabular grain also looks meh. Actually looks very much like digital noise. Cubic grain is sort of pleasant. Soft grain is still my favorite. Silver rich grain is not too bad. And fine grain doesn't even tell you there's grain. So if you really wanted to work with anything, you would go with silver rich, soft, or cubic grain. Let's try a different type of image, though. So these are the same scene. I just changed the white balance, pretty much. So I'm going to work with this image, and this is at ISO 6400. The XT2 is actually pretty clean at a higher ISO. So let's move over to like here. Okay. You can, embrace the grain there if you wish. Or you can say, let's add some soft grain. I like it. Let's add more impact to it. And let's add more granularity. And then when I zoom out, you don't really see it again that much. Let me make this a full screen view for you. You don't really see it that much. You do see it a little bit, but it looks sort of like digital noise. So let's also do something here. Let's generic, and let's get rid of the distortion, or get rid of it a little bit less. Okay, cool. And you see a little bit of the grain, but not really a whole lot. So let's make some changes then, shall we? So shadows, I'm going to bump the shadows up. You still don't really see a lot of the grain. Let's say versus the harsh grain. Yeah, now it's starting to become blocky. Take a look there. You can see that. And when I do full screen, yeah, you can totally see that. And the thing is that you won't really know if that looks like digital noise or not. So in that case, maybe soft grain might actually be the way to go. So let's enter full screen again. Yeah, that's more pleasing to the eye. It does look like more soft grain. So hold on, wait, enter full screen. There we go. Yeah, that does look more pleasing to the eye. So those are the differences between the different grain styles in Capture One, and whether or not you should do them as a photographer, I mean, it really is up to you. The images, let's do something a little bit different. So I'm going to reset this. And now I'm going to do my distortion edits first really quickly. Generic, 100%. Okay. I'm going to keep that white balance, but I'm going to change to, no, not there. I want Acros. I think Acros is really where this is going to come into effect. So that's the yellow filter, and that's green, and that's regular Acros. Let's say the green filter there. Okay. So now, upping the exposure, zooming in 100%. Let's say 200%. And now we decide that we want to add grain. So the fine grain look will probably be the best for impact. Now when I zoom out, you don't really see a lot of it. So let's try the cubic grain. And let's add more of it, and then let's add more granularity. And that looks actually pretty cool. So enter full screen. Yeah. Yeah, I can deal with that. That looks a little bit like Acros, that was pushed or something like that. But I think maybe the silver rich grain might actually be the best here. So I'm going to go back to full screen. And yeah, now you see that the silver rich grain looks awesome. I hope this was helpful, folks. I know you folks were asking about it in Capture One, and this is the best way to go about experimenting with these kinds of things. Embracing it in black and white is one way, but then also just sitting there and taking a look. Of the many different grain options that you have, silver rich, soft grain, and cubic grain are really my favorites. The other ones sort of look like digital noise, or they don't even look like grain. So, happy shooting, folks. I hope this was helpful.